Seriously, let's get going. For real.
Embodying Wade Wilson as you slice and shoot your way through Mojo's twisted interdimensional reality show is nothing short of a blast. This is the first Deadpool VR game built exclusively for MetaQuest 3 and 3S, and it's way more comprehensive than you might expect from what could have easily been a shallow licensed tie-in. It doesn't get old to see Deadpool's head roll off his shoulders mid-battle or watch your severed arms flop around on the ground to the backdrop of a comedic one-liner.
You're tearing me apart, Lisa!
This is a relentlessly witty, often fourth-wall breaking, and highly replayable single-player campaign that stands out as the best superhero VR game since Batman Arkham Shadow.
Coming through!
Whether you're a Deadpool fan looking to step into the Merc-with-a-Mouth shoes, or just here for a good old-fashioned VR shooter with tons of secrets and a good sense of humour, Deadpool VR is surprisingly complete. The campaign takes roughly 10 hours to finish, but there are secret levels to find and alternate Deadpool variants like Lady Deadpool and the Deadpool Kid to unlock, each with unique dialogue and Easter eggs that could easily push your playtime much further.
Hey, Port, why are you tracking mud on the good name?
Portaled out of existence by Mojo with the promise of making money, like a lot of money, Deadpool sets out to capture villains from the Marvel Universe for the Tyrant's interdimensional streaming service.
If you refuse Mojo's edicts, things will not go well for you here.
This story's premise is delightfully silly and simple, played entirely off the cuff, and each villain's domain is ripe for themed cherry-picking. The Ninja School level, for instance, is packed with weeb gamer humor and anime references.
Totally my bad. I was confusing your Kikuko with a different Kukiko.
While Omega Red's Stronghold is full of, in Soviet Russia, game beats you type jokes.
See, in preparation for this mission, I binge-watched both of Yakov Smirnov's comedy specials and...
Quiet, you idiot!
Each area feels as much like an arena for combat with uniquely themed enemies as it does a playground for Deadpool to poke fun at the player, the game industry, virtual reality, and whatever tropes the respective zone represents.
You are lost, existentially speaking. However, this is not the same chamber as before.
Oh, glad it's just the crushing hours and low wages of video game artists, and not a ding to my impeccable sense of direction.
None of these areas overstay their welcome, as you'll typically clear a zone in about an hour, and the campaign strikes a good balance between feeling substantial and staying fresh. The reality show framing isn't just window dressing either. Each battle ends with a ranked score and Mojo Bucks reward based on your performance, while your viewer count, basically experience points, ticks upward as comments roll in on the right side of the display that match how well you did. These segments are often hilarious because of how wild the comments are, genuinely making you feel like you're live streaming to a chaotic Gen Z audience watching Deadpool massacre his way through the Marvel Universe.
Ooh, look at her go. To a far, far better place, I'm sure.
Sweet! Someone made a shitty copy of Res for Virtual Boy and tricked you into buying an expensive headset to play it.
The combat is immediately arcadey, rather than going for deep VR immersion territory like Half-Life Alyx, which at one point, Deadpool VR gleefully mocks itself for not doing, in a very Deadpool-like manner.
Stuff to move with my hands. Finally making sense why this game is in VR now.
But for what it sets out to do, it feels way more thought through than most VR action games. The very first mission hands you dual pistols and katanas and shows you a nice big group of enemies to experiment on.
Today just isn't your day, is it?
That's what Deadpool VR is all about. Kinetic movement through dynamic environments, creative kills, and irreverent goofs. This implementation really does capture what makes the character work.
Ding!
You can wall run, double jump, grapple across arenas, strafe around opponents, or dive kick into clusters of enemies, and it all feels great without ever getting too easy or unbalanced. Plus, Deadpool can lose arms mid-combat or even his head or legs during key story moments, creating surprisingly interesting segments where you're fighting with one arm while waiting for the other to regenerate,
I'm craving Korean barbecue now. Is that weird?
or remotely controlling your body from your severed head's perspective.
It's like taking baby steps for the first time all over again.
It creates a layer of dynamism that Deadpool VR regularly riffs on in lowbrow fashion, including a memorable segment where, after losing the lower half of your body, you have to race a recurring antagonist up an obstacle course with nothing but a grappling gun.
Grapple to glory!
There are always a few tactical considerations at play, adding layers of variety to the regular carnage too. For example, blocking too many attacks can make your swords break, and your wrist grenades take a few seconds to refill between uses.
How's that for direct action?
At least your dual pistols are quick to reload and never run out of ammo, though they're kind of weak on their own. The real fun comes from grabbing superior weapons off enemies. That includes assault rifles, shotguns, SMGs, grenade launchers, missile launchers, or even melee weapons like flaming swords, shock batons, and in one memorable instance, a chainsaw-bladed axe. All of them feel excellent to use and are so much fun to mix into your arsenal as you rip and tear across each arena.
Why don't you take a timeout for a little bit?
Additionally, it's awesome that you can buy new dual pistols and katanas with your mojo bucks between levels in the hub area, including useful variations like basic shotguns or penetrator pistols equipped with laser sights. Upgraded katanas include really fun ones that extend when you slash, or spin back to you like a boomerang when you throw them. In total, there are about 8 pistols, 8 wrist-mounted grenade types, and 8 katanas to mix and match between. No upgrade is too expensive or too difficult to earn, and the differences between each are significant enough to make playstyle customization feel robust.
No matter how much loot I get, I always have room for one more in the old pouches.
When you fill up your big money time meter, you can press the X button on the left controller to activate it, which puts an incredibly powerful weapon in your hands for a short period of time and increases your mojo dollar yield after the battle. The default option is the exploding cards wielded by Gambit, but there are other purchasable big money time abilities like Thor's hammer and Star-Lord's element guns that add variety if you want to switch things up. The only real problem with combat is that the boss battles feel way too choreographed. Time slows down and you need to make specific moves in a row or else a cutscene will pull you out of VR entirely. That part is kind of jarring. Worse still, if you're executing one of those timed combat moves against a boss and you're not standing in the right spot, it can push you back to the quest lobby until you reposition yourself. It's not clear why this happens, and it feels like a bug that needs patching. Deadpool VR stays fun beyond the initial playthrough thanks to its alternate Deadpool variants and secret levels. When you replay zones as variants like the Deadpool Kid or Lady Deadpool, the gameplay itself doesn't change, but the way each variant reacts is appropriately silly and adds new flavor to familiar encounters.
No sprinkler system in here, sorry.
Deadpool Kid brings a cowboy twang to all his lines and in-jokes,
I'll be recycling you into horseshoes.
while Lady Deadpool constantly points out that NPCs still refer to her as Sir because the developers didn't re-record those lines in true meta fashion.
Wade.
Shit.
It's actually Wanda, but since the misnaming/misgendering gag is getting old, I'll let it slide.
Each level also contains hidden doors aligned to specific Deadpool variants, meaning when you return as the correct character, you'll unlock secret levels with unique challenges or puzzles that reward extra mojo bucks and collectibles like comic books, music tracks, concept art, and weapon skins. It's a smart replayability hook that actually incentivizes multiple playthroughs, rather than just padding out runtime.
Hell yeah!
Things like the multiple variants repeatedly contrast how seriously its characters, and Marvel Universe mythology as a whole, take themselves against the lewdness and unseriousness of Deadpool himself, shredding any pretense of urgency and making things go boom for shits and giggles.
Say, couldn't we have some music for this flashback? Maybe something by Aha?
The villain roster, pulling liberally from across the Marvel Universe with lesser-known fan favorites like Ultimo and Lady Deathstrike, helps enable a decent variety of levels. And the jokes are typically more three-dimensional than just playing off tropes.
You know I'm sensitive about my prodigious foot size and its implications about my manhood.
These are all well performed and serve Deadpool as a character, rather than forcing him to awkwardly traipse around trying to make sense of why the hell he's involving himself with all these random Marvel characters. It knows it's wacky and stupid, and that's part of the joke.
I know, right?
The sole issue with how the story is presented is that it does make you sit through long cutscenes and dialogue sequences with no way to skip them. Pressing A just gives you a big crossed out A decal on the screen, meaning you have to experience an entire level again, exposition and all, if you just want to go back and unlock a secret level with a new character. This can drag down Deadpool VR's pacing a bit, even when you're going through and experiencing new-ish dialogue with a new variant.
And I'll be back sooner than you can say 6 succubi sitting on Sister SETI.
Sexaby sexting on a sexy couch. Nailed it.
At least Neil Patrick Harris absolutely nails Deadpool's humour. He brings the perfect mix of snark, self-awareness, and chaotic energy that made playing as this version of Wade Wilson a genuine delight throughout the entire campaign.
What does ultimatum stand for again?
Underground, liberated, totally independent.
Just kidding, no one cares.
The supporting cast also has a mix of standouts and phone-ins. John Leguizamo's Mojo is fantastic, chewing scenery with the perfect amount of grotesque sleaze.
Who is this glorious bastard? He should be a star. I want to lay my eggs in his chest.
While Julia Jones's Spiral falls flat with a delivery that feels uninspired.
You are infuriating.
Visually, Deadpool VR looks much better on Quest 3 than on Quest 3S. Performance was smooth overall across both platforms, but the cel-shaded graphical style just goes so much harder on the standard Quest 3. It's enjoyable to look at and listen to through and through regardless, even with all the chaos from combat making the Quest 3 work harder to render everything at 90 FPS, with vibrant colours, intricately detailed levels and characters, punchy weapons, and high-fidelity cartoon gore that pops.
And that is how we do it.
Deadpool VR has a variety of comfort options that are always nice to see too. Long-time VR users can go straight for the no-holds-barred VR hero experience, but there are also options for snap turning, comfort blinds, and no screen shake. And even if the most intense option is standard fare for you, the fact that the most visually intense sequences, like passenger shootouts in vehicles, are still entirely skippable if needed is appreciated. There's also a kid pool mode that removes as much vulgarity from Deadpool VR as it can, but that kind of defeats the point, doesn't it?
What did you say?
Oh my god, kidding. I was totally kidding.
Marvel's Deadpool VR adds to a growing roster of great licensed superhero games that help prove VR games can be more than shallow tie-ins. Its kinetic combat system is engaging for the entire 10-hour campaign, and the alternate Deadpool variants with genuinely funny, unique dialogue make replaying levels feel worthwhile rather than like padding.
Woo, the all-you-can-slay buffet!
As the default Deadpool, however, Neil Patrick Harris's performance delivers exactly what you'd hope for, and the reality show framing enhances the overall story rather than feeling gimmicky. If you're up for dark, lowbrow comedy and fourth-wall breaking meta humor, then this is easily the most complete and entertaining superhero VR experience since Batman Arkham Shadow. Just make sure you're playing on Quest 3 to get the most out of its vibrant visuals. For more recent action, check out our reviews of Where Winds Meet or Ark Raiders, and for everything else, stick with IGN.